Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Ross Keating, experienced independent business consultant, and he is the founder of Next Tree Business Coach, Business Growth Consultancy. And he is coming to us live from Queensland, Australia. Welcome to the show, Ross.
Hello, AJ. Thank you very much for having me on the show. A pleasure and an honor to be here.
You are welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people in your home country, in Australia, a lot of people across the globe will be benefiting from what we are talking about. And we are talking about knowing buyer personalities. And you say that can increase your sales and influence by up to 300%. So we'll come to that is what people would be interested to know about. So my first question to you, Ross, is to understand, is there a difference between buyer personality and buyer persona, or are they the same thing?
But the buyer personality is about what makes people buy. Why do they buy? As opposed to if you're looking at the values that people look for in a brand, that's the key thing. In the brand they're looking about, is the brand a good thing? Does it have the right image? Does it have the stability? Does it have the coverage? Does it give them all those things that they need? But when they're actually making the decision to buy, they're basing it on their values. As you as a salesperson may be looking at them from a perspective of, are they introverted or extroverted? But when they actually go to make the decision, do you meet their values? Are you trustworthy? Do you help them in any way with their community work? Do you help them in their personal growth? Do you help them? Do you show them in a step-by-step process how you will implement their product, or their product will help them? What are the steps to make sure that they set the kitchen whiz up? Even a simple kitchen tool is a step-by-step process. Flat packs from IKEA, and what's the sales process? And how are they going to use it, and what process? Some other people like a lot of data, about reliability, all the testing, and who uses it, and all those type of things, all sorts of stuff. So when you're making the buyer personality, you're talking about what they will make their decision on. And that's where you have the buyer avatar, their age, their demographics, and some of those other values and what's important to them. And then they make the decision. And that's what we talk about from there. That's your communication. Is based around their value. It needs to be based around their values.
Right, Ross. So let's talk about the buyer personality and not the buyer persona, because that almost everybody tries to do. But buyer personality will certainly help as much as a growth of a 300% in sales and influence. Sales, I understand. What do you mean by influence here, Ross? And then I'll come to the other questions.
Okay. Well, when you're selling, what you're really trying to do is influence their decision in favor of you. So you're not making that decision that you're not selling you. People hate to be sold to, right? You got to buy this. This is the best. This is the best pen that you could ever buy. And you need to have it, and you're forcing it down their throat. But if you influence the decision and give them the information they want, then they will buy it. They will make the choice in favor of you. And influence is not just in sales. In your organization with your team, you're trying to influence them to use the policies and procedures and represent the brand in the way that you want them to represent it. So you have to influence them. You can hold carrots and sticks and give them incentives to do those things. But if you tell them, you've just got to get with the program, or you're out, the highway, my way or the highway, that doesn't tend to work too often. So what you're looking is it's an influence, and also influences is family people. We've got children, grandchildren, perhaps we're aunts and uncles. We've got partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, and we try to influence them to do what we want to do. And a great example of that, my wife is a slightly different personality from me, and I tend to like, hey, let's go and do this in the next 5 minutes. And she likes to have a bit of warning about this, and let's plan when we're going to do it and what do we need to take. Whether it's, for you go to a picnic down the beach, or for a long holiday, or even the shopping. I'll get a few things. Look in the fridge. I know what I need, and away we go. And you try to influence them to do that. So, and children particularly, your children and your grandchildren, you're trying to do that. So that's about sales. You're selling them your ideas and the behaviours that you want to see. So that's what I mean by influence. It's sales is influence. And if you sell right, they will buy your product because they want to, not because you force them to.
Right, right, Ross. So now let's come to understanding how. How can we know our buyer personalities? And is it about a fleeting buyer? A buyer comes into your store and goes off. How do you measure that personality? Or is there another way of measuring personalities and if you mean by by consistent buying from people, or is it like even one of buyers you can also measure their personalities? How does it work? Tell us, so that people can follow it almost like a step by step. What are the tools that you can use to measure buyers, because they won't let you even touch them? So how do you measure what is in
Wow.
their minds?
Yeah, and that's it. And this is the beauty of buyer persona and buyer the personality buyer personality is that you are looking. How do you do it? Well, the first thing you need to do is have a system. You have to understand what your personality is, and that's easy. And with this, thousands of or hundreds of different personality types that tell you about your personality. The Myers-Briggs, the discs, the big five, true colors. Great tools that are often used in business, but they tell us about us. And I've had a number of those in my corporate life, and they never saw the light of day after about a week. Nothing was used to help me do my job in sales and customer relationship management and getting teams to work together. And so, and if we go back to personalities, way back to 400 BC, Hippocrates came up with the four temperaments. He could treat people medically and he developed or identified four different temperaments, and he could treat each of those people differently because that's what their personality type was. And they've been improved over the centuries on, and that we got to that. And that's how they came up with some of those. And some of those current personalities, typing tools, are influenced by that. And Sherry Tree, the founder of Codebreaker Technologies, she was in sales, and she said, there's got to be something else beside my personality that's changing this. Maybe the people who are buying from me have got a different personality. And she realized maybe it was about values. And then it clicked. There's the missing link. We need, what are the buying values? And she did and had research conducted, and she came up with the bank personality profiling assessment. And it's a really simple test. And it's really hard to see them sometimes, but there's 4 cards. And these are like bank cards, right? And the other way around. On each card, there's 12 values. And our personality is made up of the 4 personality types. Bank is an analogy for the actual personality types: blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge. And each of those gives you an idea what they are. The blueprint person likes stability, structure, system, processes, planning. They're some of the values that they like. You've got the action person, they're the movers, the shakers, the millionaire makers, and they're out there in front of the room live. They're really getting on, and they're out there, and they're the center of attention, and they love winning in competitions, and they're getting in your face. They're often very not confrontational, but they're right there in front of the room. And then you've got nurturers, they're team leaders. They're the team people. They love those charity, teamwork, personal growth, contribution, and ethics and morality. And they're really important people. And then you've got the knowledge. They're about self-mastery, learning, universal truths, data, research and development, technology. And so you've got to understand each of those. We all made up of those 4 personalities, but 1 or 2 will be more dominant than the others. So that briefly explains it. Blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge. Now, how can you tell? Well, the bank person, for me as a business consultant and going out talking to people, and I connect with people like yourself online and through LinkedIn, and I send a link and say, would you do me a favor, please? Just complete this quick quiz. It'll take you less than 90 seconds, and you'll find out what your personality type is, bio-behavior, and bio-personality is, and you'll get a report. And when I'm meeting with somebody, and I was with a person today I'd never met before, I said, would you mind doing a favor for me? Can you please sort these 4 cards into the order that best shows the card that is the most important to you or most like you at the top, and the one at least important, least like you at the bottom? And he did. And he came out as nurturing, action, blueprint, and knowledge. And so I was able to adjust my conversation with him around those teamwork and action, or nurturing and action was where I had a focus. But how else, if you're in a shop, for example, how did you do it? Well, maybe you could look at their clothing, what they're wearing. If they've got they got a Gucci handbag, or they got a Rolex watch, or the top brand information, they're rolled up in a Mercedes or a Porsche or a sports car, quite possibly an action. If they're wearing perhaps quite a floral type clothing, jeans, they might be nurturing. A blueprint will have a suit and tie on, perhaps, the more formal side of it. They may shake your hand, where an action person will give you more likely to give you a high five. Those are the type of clues that you're looking at as a seller to try and get it. Words that they use, I feel, might be somebody who's nurturing, for example. So those are the things. Does that answer your question, AJ? It's a bit long, but I hope you've got it.
Yes, it does. It does explain quite a lot. And so to understand it further, even can the small businesses use it, or is there a technology associated with it, or is it just the cards? How does it work on the ground, especially for small businesses?
Okay, for small businesses, there's technology, there's artificial intelligence, and the code breakers technology, artificial intelligence is the only one that has empathy built into it. So I can go on to LinkedIn, for example, and use an extension within LinkedIn, and it'll review your whole LinkedIn profile, and it will give me your code. Now, it might not be fully accurate as you're doing the link test or doing the cards, because you may have written it as you go. So you might have got somebody to write it, or you may have written it for a particular personality type. But it gives me a good start. So it's an AI, very simple to use. You're like any extension that you might use on your computer. There's also, in the the back off, what you might call the back office. There's an artificial decoding. You can import your brochures or your PDF flyers. You can type emails. You can copy text from a website, and it will decode that, and then it will give you hints on how to change that to meet the personality of the person you're wanting to talk to, because and it even has the ability on a mobile device or even on the computer to decode the speech. You can talk into it and it will decode that speech, because we all talk in that way. And so it's very simple to use. And why would they do that? Well, if, like any buyer, if you talk just general buyer personas, we get those so we can segment the market or those our target market into groups, and that way we are able to more effectively communicate. We may sort them into, say, male and female for one. We may sort them by geographic location. But if you understand all that general buyer persona, and then you take the communication style or their buyer behavior or their buyer personality, and then you write to that group in their preferred languages and phrases and what's important to them, and importantly, don't use words and phrases and don't talk about things or don't give them too much detail. And then your communication, whatever it is, whether it's a website, an email, a brochure, will resonate with them, and they're more likely to say yes, because we've been told that sales is a numbers game. It's not. It's not a numbers game. It's a people game, because you need to influence them. And so it's a very simple tool. And like anything, you still have to do a little bit of learning. But Codebreaker's technology provides an inordinate amount of information to enable to make that simple from there. And if you like, I can even, there's a link that you can give your audience, and they can go in and they can crack their own personality. It'll take them less than 90 seconds, and they'll get a 26-page report, comprehensive report, complimentary from me, and it'll tell them about their personality and some of the things that they are likely to do or behave, and if they applied it to somebody that they knew, they could do it. And they could use that link to do somebody else in their business to get an idea and see the difference. But it's a very simple tool to use. It's powerful. I used it for a post. I wrote it, and then I decoded it. I didn't get the reaction I wanted. I put it through the AI, adjusted it, and it got twice the reach and twice the engagement. And so as a consultant, what I'm doing, I can only do 5 things for a business. I can help them increase their revenue, reduce expenses, get a better bang for their marketing buck, and ultimately improve productivity and efficiency. Now, if your communications and your sales process are in the style and the language of the people that you've got as prospects and customers, you'll get more customers to come back and be repeat customers. You will close more prospects more quickly because you're talking their language. So you're going to increase your revenue. You're going to reduce. You won't need to do quite as much marketing because it'll be more targeted. You'll be able to you will get more bang for your marketing buck because you're being more targeted and more efficient in there. Your staff are not going to be handling as many leads because they are getting the right leads and they're converting more sales. And therefore, you're going to be they're more productive and efficient, and overall, you're going to be making more profit. From that, does that help, AJ?
Yes, indeed. And that is very helpful. I'm sure a lot of people can use this tool and can actually know about their buyers better and cater to them better. What about the customer service? Will just knowing the buyer personalities be enough, or will the buyer come again because your service has been good? How should businesses integrate these two things when they are dealing with the potential customer or the existing customer.
Right. Mm-hmm. We seem to be having a bit of a trouble with
No
connection
problem.
here. But
No problem.
you said about customer service, yes? Okay. Customer service
Yes.
is the same thing. They need to talk that language. So if your customer relationship management system has their bank code, then they can either have their scripts or the scripts, that their call scripts that they have written for each of the action codes, so they'll be speaking the right language, or they can be trained to deliver the presentation in that. And AJ, can I give an analogy about the language?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. We'll use the four codes: blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge. Imagine that they are the B is the blueprint, okay, and they all speak English, for example, okay, and that is where your market is. That's where you get all your sales from currently. Now there's another group of people you identify who are action, and maybe they are French, and you are able to speak French. You know, le vent ne sont pas un jeu de chef, le vent est un jeu de personnes. Bonjour, madame, mademoiselle, mais monsieur, and so on. And if you're speaking to the action people in their language, then they're going to be more comfortable. And so they are more likely to buy from you, and you could increase your sales by an influence by up to 100%. Now imagine if the nurturers spoke a different language. Maybe they speak Hindu, and you are conversing in Hindu. I will not try to attempt to speak Hindu. My French is bad enough. But if you are speaking, an Australian was coming across and was able to speak in Hindu, then they would be able to be more comfortable buying from me, for example, if I came across and spoke Hindu. And they can increase their sales another 100% or up to another 100% and influence. And then maybe the last group may speak Chinese or Japanese. Then if you could speak Chinese or Japanese to cater that for that group, they're going to feel more comfortable with you. And you again have the opportunity to spend or to increase your sales and influence by up to 100%. And that's how we come up. Now, this has been scientifically validated. Bank is the only methodology in the world that has been scientifically validated to accurately predict buyer behavior in less than 90 seconds and increase sales by up to an influence by up to 300%. So it's not just the company saying this. This was done by studies by the State University of San Francisco and some other organizations as well. And they've done it over a period of time. And reading all the different case studies that have been, or studies that have been done, I believe there's something around about 10,000 people have been surveyed. If people are wondering, it works. And Bank has been taught at Stanford and Harvard University. Sherry Tree has presented and talked about that at the United Nations Conference for Good. So it's very well recognized, and they've just secured their first patent for the ability for organizations with a member or customer portal to be able to incorporate Bank immediately as that. But we won't go into that now, but that's how it's going. But for small, medium-sized businesses, I'm a small business and I use it every day to do it. And both for personal and my business relationships. And I have I presented it recently, just this week, to a webinar, and one of the people on there said, if I'd had this tool 30 years ago when I was starting out in sales, I would have been so much more better. And he's a really good salesperson, obviously up with 30 years of experience, but he loves it. Les Brown, the motivational speaker, talks about it and says, this is the leading I wish I had the slide up. I should do it, but he was really strong to say this will expand your skills and confidence and dramatically increase your income. Just to paraphrase his wording, but it is that analogy. That's what we're talking about. Whether you're in customer service, whether you're trying to get teams to work together. My daughter works in an organization. She was talking about how 3 parts of the organization had a them and us kind of feel about it, but they started communicating and helping each other better. Now they're working together because they started talking together. And if you're using the right language and the right words and behaviors, then you are going to have that opportunity to increase your sales. And I can tell you that I secured a client because I adjusted how I presented my presentation and talked to them and continued. So they not only engaged me, they re-engaged me as a consequence. Does that answer some of your questions?
Absolutely, Ross. And in fact, there is much to learn from you, Ross. And so, how can people know more about you, know more about this particular tool that can increase their sales and influence by 300%? And also, how can they connect with you professionally? What's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that, I'm on all our social media. If you put Ross Keating, there's only one that looks like me, okay? The others look a little bit better. But I'm on LinkedIn. That's possibly the best way to find me. If I put something in the chat now, will that go out to the people, AJ?
Yes, I can. I can, in fact, put it right now, and also maybe I can put it out. I don't know if it can go on a private chat, but maybe if somebody had commented it, or give me 1 minute, I can still work this out and make the rest. I can always put it on the show notes, so people can certainly have a look.
There's the link. I've given in the chat box there. I've put the link so that people can crack their personality code. It's complimentary. They go through, and it's a very simple. It'll take them less than 90 seconds, and then they will, if they enter their contact details.
I can add it. Just see, I have added
there
it.
You go. Yeah, and I'll type in my LinkedIn address for you.
Right. That I will put on I've got it, Ross. I will put it on the show notes so that people will be able to click on that and immediately reach out to you.
Okay. AJ, thank you very much for sorry, I got all excited and passionate about that, didn't I?
No, don't worry. Don't worry. It is a pleasure to talk to you. And who doesn't want to understand about sales, and especially about making it jump by as much as 300%. So with this positive note for the businesses, especially for the small businesses, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thanks.